So, I wanted to talk a little bit today about income and wealth inequality, or the difference between the two of them, but I wanted to look at it more from sort of the microcosm level, how it affects individual people, right? And to do that, we're going to have to look at some of these bad arguments that are made about it. Um, and unfortunately, we got to start with the Money Guys show. Now, generally, we like these guys. Don't get us wrong, but they do tend to lean on the sort of conservative bias where they don't. It doesn't always come across real great. So here's just a quick example. They're going to talk about why is it that the people today are broke, right? Why are Americans actually broke?
Okay, I'm gonna just put it out there for our audience. Even literally just that phrasing immediately makes me a little bit anxious because I could just like feel what's coming. So
yeah.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
We're gonna
This
jump.
is gonna make me crazy.
We're gonna jump in. We're gonna skip
All right.
through a little bit because it's a long video, but I'm not gonna go through the whole thing. But I just want to get to their main point.
Wondered why Americans are broke and what you can do to make sure you're on the right side of wealth building?
See, what you can do is listen to what we say and buy our products. That's the ultimate throw here, but let's hear them out a little bit.
We're loaded. I mean, if you look at GDP standards, America is the land of opportunity, land of riches. We are from comparison of all the other countries, our GDP makes us the wealthiest country on the planet. However, yeah, there's a big but. However, if you look at savings rates of Americans, we stink.
Yeah, check this.
Okay, so let's get into that real quick. They're right. GDP, we're big. We're the powerhouse.
Okay, I'm hoping it gets better when we listen a little bit further, but I immediately feel irritated because they're saying savings rates. Okay, yes, this is true. You can go to so much data that shows how low our savings rates have been over lots of spans of time. You know, we could look at decades even. Our savings rates are not great, but I think we kind of have to like pull the string a little bit further. Why are Americans not saving money?
That's a
What's going on that's making Americans not save money? Like we're not just inept. Why?
Could it be?
What's happening?
Could it be we're not making enough money? Could it be we have more expenses than people in other countries?
Is it that our student loans have been blown up so far that that's eating into the savings that decades ago people could potentially have saved? Is it that
medical debt,
cost of rent, and if you buy a house, mortgage prices are so much higher that the payments are so much higher, but the wages haven't gone up as quickly as these expenses have been, even down to small expenses, down to walking in the grocery store, small expenses. It does not even just the large ones.
Could
right?
Could it be the
cost to buy a car?
Yeah, could it be the cost of medical care and the fact that we don't have universal health care, and we're the only developed country that doesn't? We're also like you said, college. We're one of the only developed countries that doesn't have cheap or free college.
So, right, we can point the finger and say, well, it's because Americans aren't saving enough. But I sure hope they're going to possibly address the idea that there are systematic problems that are making it really difficult to save. I mean, we still have to do what we can.
Sure.
But we might need to recognize maybe it's the system is stacked in a way to where we're literally not capable of doing as much as somebody 50 years ago or however many decades ago.
Right. You have to remember, though, these guys, they're not talking to the average American. They're talking to the top 30% that can save. So, no, their solution is not going to be there's systematic problems that we need to deal with. It's going to be, this is how you can save more with our program and make more money. But it doesn't apply to the vast majority of people. That's the problem that we're going to get into here. That's why I always get stuck with these guys, because, I get it. You're a financial planner. You have to target your audience, but
this out. This is a detail of the top 10 countries by savings rate relative to their GDP, their gross domestic product. And what you'll notice, okay, so see if you can find the United States.
Yeah, it's not on there, buddy. Anyway, so let's skip ahead to this next thing.
And again, how you can combat it, how you can fight against it.
So let's jump right into these. Number one, I thought this was quite interesting. Our retirement accounts are quite leaky.
Yeah, when you think about retirement accounts and the way that retirement systems are set up in other countries across the world, they make it very difficult to get to your retirement dollars, very hard to access those dollars that are supposed to be saved for the future. However, here in America, we make it a little bit easier to get to.
Now, why?
And expensive.
It's expensive.
We do make it easier to get to, and we make it, people pay out the nose in order to do so. So we make it possible, and then we charge them a whole bunch to do it.
Yeah, but why do we do it that way? Because we've had to deal with problems like pandemics and things like that, and the recession and all that, and we don't have a safety net set up like most of these other countries in Europe or Asia. So what ends up happening is people are broke. They have to access that money because they can't get it anywhere else. So then we set it up that way. Okay, well, we'll let you get it, but we're going to make it really difficult. That way it'll discourage people from taking it. Not realizing, no, they're desperate. They're going to take it. Not because they want to, because they have to. So they've missed, I mean, once again, they've missed the bigger picture here. So to sit there and go, well, no, we need to make it so you can't ever touch your retirement money until you're retired. It's like, well, that sounds all well and good, but what if these people need it for medical costs? What if these people need it for mortgages? What if these people are out of work? They have no safety net. They have no protection. And that money's sitting there and they can't touch it. Well, now they're really screwed. I'm sorry, it's hard to save for retirement if you're unemployed and you lose your house. Then you're homeless. So they're missing all this. Because remember, we're not talking to the average American. We're talking to the top 20, 30% of Americans, the high income earners. That's what they're talking to. But that's the problem they're missing. They never specify. And that's what bugs me about this video. Is because if you aren't one of those people and you're the average American listening to this, you're sitting there thinking, oh, well, this is all on me. I should be able to do all this. And the reality is you might not be able to circumstantially. And then you get really fucked because you try and do this and you don't have the money. That's what bugs me about this whole thing. We'll go through a little bit more of this and then we'll jump into the reasons here.
When this came up in the content meeting, I had a double take. I was like, wait a minute, say what? Because according to the research we found from the Atlantic, 40 cents out of every dollar that goes into retirement accounts actually leaks out before people reach retirement. That's right. 40 cents out of every dollar is actually being distributed before people actually reach retirement.
Yeah, this is specifically referring to 401k plans, but we know.
Yeah, and I want to get into that because that's where it is. And they're right. It's about 40 cents. But once again, we just went over why. Because these
guys do a terrible job at the pulling the string on the why.
Yeah.
They want to point to the surface level of the problem and not dig any further.
Right.
Because when we're analyzing any of these problems, at least my perspective is we kind of have to look at sort of two separate parts of it. Which parts of it are systematic that need to be changed on a much larger scale because it's stacking the cards against everybody? And which parts of it are the parts that we can just actively do ourselves within our own situation? Because it's usually like a two-pronged thing. It's not just one size. And they only really want to look at it from the angle of personal responsibility, right. which is sort of a surface level sort of situation. You know?
That's part of it, but the thing that you hit it, first we have to start out with what do you want, right? What are you willing to do to get it? That's the personal responsibility portion, right? But the bigger issue when we're actually creating a financial plan is what is your circumstance currently? Because that's what we have to build from, right? I can't make bricks without clay, right? So I have to use what's available. And that's what they're ignoring. Because if you start to pay attention to that on the larger level, your 5-step, or what's their 7-step, I don't know what it is, financial plan goes to complete shit. Because circumstantially it doesn't apply to a lot of people. So you can't sell your cookie cutter plan anymore because it doesn't work. Because I have to assume you have $2,000 extra a month to save, or whatever it is. And if you don't, well, I mean, I can't sit there and sell that on my show. I got to sell
Right.
that anybody can do it. Right? So it's a little shady, and it bums me out that they're CFPs. But yeah, so here's the deal. So here's CNBC did a story back in wherever this was, 2015, about tapping into your 401k early. And they talked about this a little bit too. And they talked about the penalties and whatnot. But so.
Duncan, help me out. Close their ad. It's making me crazy.
Which one? This one here?
The bottom one, the green banner across it.
Oh, there you go. Sorry.
I don't care what deal they're offering. Okay.
Okay.
Let's go.
So Center for Retirement Research did a white paper. Center for Retirement Research at Boston College estimates that 1.5% of assets leak out of 401ks and IRAs each year, on average, through early withdrawals, cash outs alone. Many are a result of job loss or job change. An estimated 3 in 10 who leave their jobs cash out their accounts, and that's according to Vanguard, who's a big finance company, or an unexpected healthcare expense. So job loss, job change, healthcare expense. And then they talk about, well, doing that can do the temporary relief, but the long-term effects are costly because that money's not earning money for you in the retirement. But it misses, once again, the point, which is these people are pulling out because they need it. They need money to pay their bills.
You mean they're not just trying to go and buy a boat?
No. They're not being careless. This is, I lost my job. I have a medical expense. I've changed jobs for whatever reason. Right? So when you experience a job loss or an emergency need for cash, it can be tempting to withdraw funds from the retirement account. And there may soon be an opportunity for those who have been unemployed for a while to do so without penalty, which is part of what Obama passed. And if you have a financial planner or whatnot, you can go through that. But there are, if you have medical reasons, first-time home purchases, you can take it out without some penalty, education costs. But the bottom line is, over the time, you lose the growth on that money, and that's where it kills you. And that's kind of the point they're making. But at the end of the day, it's like you still got to look at it from the situation. So if I have a client who it's like, okay, I just lost my job, right? I can't afford to pay my bills, right? Where can I get that money from? Well, you can borrow it from your retirement plan, right? This is what it's going to cost you. This is what your total loss is going to be over the time. But you could do that and pay it off. But at least it gets you through the next couple months until you can get back on your feet. Now, are they going to sit there and go, well, you know what? Gosh, I'm going to lose that money for future retirement, but, I need it now, but, I don't want to lose it. So you know what? I'm just going to lose my apartment or my house and go underwater or try to sell it and not take the money out of my retirement. And I'll just be homeless for a few months. That's not a reasonable position. You can't expect that. Right? Because it's like, how are you going to get another job if you don't have a freaking address? Or a phone?
And quite frankly, when you're that low on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you're not really worrying so much about retirement. You're worrying about those
am I going to
those base levels, those base, roof over my head, food in my belly, safety. Like those are the things you're worrying about, not these other things.
Right. Can I keep my kids in school? Can I feed them? right? So it's not a practical thing to sit there and go, well, the problem is you're just not saving enough. Well, it's like sometimes you're in a position where you gotta bleed. It's not good. It sucks. But wouldn't it be nice to be in a situation where we had some of these safety nets so you didn't have to do that? Right? So that was kind of their spiel, but that's how they market their stuff. And that's how a lot of these guys do it. It's well, if you're not rich, you're an idiot kind of thing. They don't say it like that, but that's kind of what they're doing. And it's this whole, well, we're just going to ignore that you might have a circumstance that requires this. We're just going to say, well, that was stupid of you to do it. Was it the best option? No. Was it probably your only option? Yeah.